Michael Sims. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it.
Good to have you here.
It actually is a pleasure. I'll be honest. So, just attended the last Everest conference, and I had a little bit of a fangirl moment when I saw you walking down the hall because I hadn't had the chance to meet you. Gone through all the BAI material, worked through all that sort of stuff, and you presented to the camera for me. Had an actual chance to shake your hand. So I had a little bit of a fangirl moment, mate.
Well, mate, it's always a pleasure meeting inspiring people like yourself, and I thought we'd start off. You've had a good start with your business. You're in Geelong, and you, from what I understand, you've purchased around circa 6 million in a just maybe an 8-month period of time, which I think is phenomenal. Did you expect the business to move at speed like that?
I didn't actually, and everyone who's done this and those who are going through it, the minute you sign your first client, that trepidation kicks in, and you start to panic and go, "What do I do now? What's the next step?" And you're going back through your material. Ben, what do I do now? No, I really didn't, mate, to be completely honest. It's been very lucky. But in saying that, I put a lot of hard work in. You're building relationships. Every day at some point, I'm reaching out to somebody, touching base, building that team around you. And that sort of got me to where I am today.
Yeah. And I mean, your background, do you maybe want to just touch on just where you've come from?
I actually worked on the docks on the wharf in Melbourne, taking off the containers on the container ships and loading them back on. Did that for 20 years, had a huge passion for helping people in property and was always searching for that next thing that fills my bucket because those sort of jobs weren't doing it. My partner actually came across this. I did the sales role for a very short period of time and hand on heart made an older couple pay a little bit more for their property than they should have, than it was worth. But that was my job. That's what I was employed to do for my vendor. And didn't sleep very well for a couple of days. So I thought, no, I think my calling is for the other side of the negotiation, just to even up that power imbalance. And that's where I found myself today. It doesn't even feel like work, mate, to be completely honest. It's you wake up with a smile on your face, you work through the challenges that your client briefs give you, but it does not feel like a job.
What was just so I understand, and the reason, let me just preface why I'm asking this question is a lot of the people, and including myself, that became buyer's agents, they actually never wanted to be a real estate agent, so they never actually joined the sell side, which means they never then got into real estate. And so a lot of their typical first then move is to become a buyer's agent when they decide to do it. But for you, what was driving, like outside of, I guess, was it your passion for property, but what was driving you to jump to the sell side?
It was more an opportunity just arose, to be honest. It wasn't me looking for it. It was brought into my environment, and I'm a huge believer. What you put out there, you'll get back. And I fumbled across a friend of mine who was a sales agent. And he sort of said, "I think you'd be okay at it." I was at that stage open to other options, and I did have that driving passion for property, but never really opened up my scope to bringing it into my environment. And then said, "Yeah, let's have a crack at it." I'm a firm believer of you have a go at something. You don't say you don't like it until you've had a go at it.
Yeah. Listen, at least you've got a taste. I mean, I think it's phenomenal learning for buyer's agents who have worked on the sell side, like just worked in that environment, learn how to deal with vendors, learn how to, navigate buyers, improve product knowledge. Like I'm assuming you're doing it in the Geelong area as well, right?
Yeah, it was just down Warrnambool, a couple of hours down the coast. But yeah, I've had the advantage of living here. You build those relationships with the sales agents. So I think my foray, although small, into the sales side gave me an appreciation of what they deal with. A lot of us as buyers advocates think the sales agent's not accepting our offer because of this, and this, but sometimes it's actually their vendor who has just got a price in their head and the sales agent can't do anything to change that price. So we're often saying this, blaming the sales agent for not getting the deal done, but it's not always the case. So it probably just gave me an appreciation for what they deal with on their side of the negotiation too.
Interesting, yeah, because I actually interviewed John O'Brien recently, who you know, and we know is a buyer's agent in Geelong as well. You guys obviously have got a good relationship.
Yeah, it's funny. We used to see each other at all the opens. We'd walk in and we'd bump into each other, and we realised, okay, well, we're in the industry, so let's catch coffee, catch up, get to know each other a bit better. He is one of the most incredible human beings. He's just got a massive heart, and I've never seen anyone or heard of anyone speak so highly of their support structure in their family behind them. He's constantly telling me how good these girls are, and not in an arrogant way, but just how incredible his family is. So yeah, John and I get along really well, and another fantastic buyer's advocate down in this region in Geelong.
I think it's brilliant how there's two competing buyer's agents who, at the beginning of their juncture, they or at the early stages, you guys decide to connect and you know I guess support each other. I think it's phenomenal because usually like, it can go the opposite way.
Well, it's funny. The sales side is very, very competitive and very cutthroat. And the minute you get some blood in the water, they're sharks and they'll circle. But I'm finding it really fascinating on the buy side, polar opposites. Maybe it's because there's not enough of us out there yet, and there's plenty of clients out there, or I'm not a competitive person by nature, and John doesn't seem to be. And there's another two or three down this region as well. And I try to touch base with all of them. I've sent a couple of off markets to John or to a couple of the others down this area. If they didn't suit my client's brief, said, look, this has hit my phone. Does it suit you? If so, reach out to the agent. We're a little bit of a tight knit community. I really like it.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, yeah, I think it's a fair point. You raise that it's not saturated yet the buyer's agent, I guess, sector. Hence why maybe the competition isn't there. But do you see the Geelong area? I'm not familiar with the geography there. I've never actually been to Geelong, but do you see that um, like the buyer's agent trend increasing a lot in Geelong over time?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think it will because it's the biggest regional regional hub in Victoria, by some margin too, from Ballarat, Bendigo.
Yeah.
And it was through COVID the driving force where most people moved. When they realised through COVID they could attend work sort of 2 days a week in the office in Melbourne, they thought, well, let's live somewhere where we'd like to live, and the push out to Geelong was phenomenal. Whether it was down the Surf Coast, Torquay, Bowen Heads, or in the heart of town in Geelong, it's got everything you can imagine. Like the town itself offers everything, no matter whether you've got kids, no kids, or their ages or their sport preferences. It offers everything. So yeah, I think it'll be a little bit of an attraction for a lot of buyers advocates. They'll start to look into this market.
And what are you picking up now? Like obviously you've worked sell side, you're now in the buy side. I'm assuming, a bit like John, you're probably supporting people who are moving into, like maybe non-locals who are moving into the area, or is it a bit of both? Like are you finding your
It's been it's like a 50-50 split, to be honest. But it's owner ocs and investors. We cover both in our business, and we can buy investments nationwide. Completely honestly, just through building the networks through your education platform, and things like Everest have given us exposure to other buyers advocates across the nation. So we've now got reach. But from here, from a local standpoint, yeah, I've bought. The last purchase was for a lovely family that moved down from Sydney, and she opened the door. Well, I actually opened the door for her when she drove down on Sunday morning, and she cried, and I had a panic attack. I thought, oh my god, she doesn't like the property. It was just that instant reaction. Then I realised, hang on, you've inspected it twice with me. You fell in love with it. I know you like the property. It was just it was actually an incredible moment, mate. It was so fulfilling, and it said to me, this is why I do it. And I know that sounds like a salesy thing, but it's not. It is. It was one of the best feelings I think I've ever had in a career.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those industries I find where you form. It's such it's so emotional, right? Especially like the owner role,
Yeah.
where it's such an important purchase, and you're building such a strong relationship. I feel like with the client at times, and especially when you do have a strong connection at the end of those purchases, like it's really profound.
Yeah, and I'm big on building relationships. And I now coach one of the clients I had. I coach his basketball team, so I love that, being able to build relationships with people. The conveyancer that's part of my network, our families now catch up every fortnight at some stage for a barbecue or a drink, and the kids have a play around. So that part of it, I'm big on, and I'm really enjoying that part of the journey.
What are the real estate agents like? I mean, you obviously being on that side before, but when you got involved in Geelong and obviously introduced what you were doing, were they receptive to you? Like how'd that go down?
Some weren't. I'll be completely honest. Some didn't like that we were going to be able to play that, because then they can't get the emotional investment they want from the possible purchaser, which is part of their
Mm.
process. So knowing we were in the middle, some were not a fan of us, and a couple made that known to me, and that's okay. It's sport off the ducks back to me. But most of them, if I'm being honest, have been really great, and they're fantastic to deal with down here. They know that they've got a job to do. They know we've got a job to do, and they respect us. It's been really, really good, mate.
Yeah, it's a good attitude you've got there. I like it. And for the ones, let's rewind. The ones, for example, that weren't so receptive, what are they like now? Have any of them changed?
Yeah, after the first sort of 2 to 3 purchases, and they follow me on socials, and I'm pretty active in making sure people know when I managed to secure a property for a client. I think that was the penny drop moment when they said, okay, so this person might be buying from us at some stage. So maybe we do need to build that relationship. Still working on getting them to refer to me. I'm not sure. John and I speak about this regularly. We're working on that down here in Geelong. They seem to be a little bit protective of their vendors, and that's totally fine. I appreciate that. But now the penny dropped and they realised, okay, we might buy properties from them, so we better be friends.
Better be friends. Yeah, it's funny. Like a lot of these real estate agents, they service buyers for free and they do a lot of work for these buyers. And I feel like a lot of them think they own the buyers. And so I think you made a really good point just before though, which I didn't think of. Like you've got obviously a lot of people buying investment in Geelong who aren't from there, and so the real estate agent can, I guess, play on that a lot and get them up in price. And so now that you're there, it makes their job more difficult. My question is with the owner ocs though that you've got, like, are they people who are living in Geelong, moving to a different home in Geelong, or are they people out of Geelong moving to Geelong?
That's been an even split too. There's been two moving down. I just had a call this morning with a prospect who's moving down from Tassie.
Yep.
So she's looking for a buyer's advocate. And I'm big on making sure that they speak to a couple of us because you've got to, from a vendor point of view, our client's point of view, they've got to be comfortable and trust the buyer's advocate they're choosing. So I make sure that they ring a couple of us down here. The last one was a single mum who just didn't have the time or the inclination, to be honest, to do what we do and take them from step one right through to settlement. And so it's been an interesting mix. Locals are taking me on, which surprised me. I didn't think they would. But when we do explain to them exactly what we offer for a service and they see the value in that, then it's pretty much a lay down misère once they get some trust with us.
That's phenomenal. I love that. So good. Yeah, it's an exciting space. Hey, like I've never worked as a selling agent. I mean, I've only observed a lot, but I've never been on that side. And so my first entry point was, becoming a buyer's agent. But you made a comment as well earlier around it is very ruthless from what I've seen on the sell side. Like it's very dog eat dog.
Oh yeah,
From what I've seen, and I think what's really refreshing in the buyer's agent sector, touch wood, still today, like it's not there yet. Hence why, like maybe you and John are able to bond and support each other versus trying to kill each other.
you're 100% right. Even so, I mentioned the conference on the Gold Coast, the Everest conference.
Yep.
We had a room full of 70. How many were there in the end?
There was, I think,
What was
75.
75 people?
Yeah.
And I've never felt a room with more love, compassion, wanting to help each other. Every time there was a break, people were asking a million questions on how do you think we could handle this sort of situation. That's outside of the learning component. So as an industry, I think, mate, whether it's because we're early in this or not, I've found it incredibly helpful. And that competition's certainly not there yet. John and I get along really well. I have margaritas with one of the other buyers advocates down here. We were going to catch up for coffee. We ended up having 4 margaritas and discuss the market. It's a really friendly atmosphere so far.
Talking on that comment around the Everest, that for people who don't know, it was an event. It's a coaching circle, but I made an observation similar to what you just said. Well, I walked away from there as well, and I called up James when I spoke to a few of the guys in our senior leadership team at BAI, and I said, that room, it's incredible. Like the energy in that room, and as you said, the love and just the support. Like everyone's competitive, everyone's competing, and
Yep.
it's pretty phenomenal to have a room full of basically competitors. Where, I mean, there's just no tall poppy, or there's just
No.
there's, as you said, it's a complete level of like just respect, and everyone wants to see each other win. I think it's phenomenal.
That's the best part. Everyone wants to see each other win. And there was a lot in the room competing in the same markets in the same locations, not just John and I.
Correct.
But they were so open and willing to offer support, or because we had a room full of a myriad of different stages of their journey. Some had just begun. Some had, like me, had a few clients, and there was a couple in the room that were established and really starting to make their way in the industry. Everyone was open and honest. I felt so calm when I left. I can't even articulate, to be honest. The hair on my neck stand up, Ben. What you've been able to manufacture with you and James and the whole team, it's been an incredible journey for me personally. That's probably the only thing I can say on my behalf. It's been unbelievable and life changing, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, and it's good to see that you're open to, you're receptive to coaching. I mean, I've got a lot of coaches myself, but it's I think it's important in the environment that we're in around sharpening the sword and just optimization and just staying on top of the game, because I think, who knows if Geelong is going to get busy with buyers agents or not. Like, let's just say it does. It's great to see that, not only do you want to stay competitive, but like you want to be the most proficient, the best buyers agent that you can be.
Yeah.
Talking about product knowledge, I mean, growing up there, like your product knowledge must be super, super strong.
Oh, yes. And so I'd like to say yes. Just back onto what you said before, though, my favourite saying is, if you're the smartest in the room, you're in the wrong room. So from a coaching standpoint, I am a huge advocate of having a business coach or anyone who can help you build and grow your knowledge. So I just wanted to touch on that really quickly. But from the market standpoint here, it's been a shifty market. It's been fascinating. January this year, the sales agencies were listing more than they've ever done historically. So the stock on the market sort of started to really come back in droves. Now it's just watching the buyers come back from the last couple of interest rate pauses. We're starting to see a lot more turn up to opens, options. I've had a lot more interest coming through my website. So it's a changing landscape. The market I love it. I really love it, mate. You've got everything from your Toorak's of Geelong being your Newtown, Geelong West, right through to your lower socioeconomic areas where people can just have to afford to buy a house. And we've got areas like that down here, down to your multi-million dollar properties on the surf coast overlooking the beach. We cover everything, and it's a one-stop shop here, and we love it.
Mate, it's so good. It's so good. And like, what is the average purchase price like that you're working on in Geelong at the moment, if you had to guess?
So my ideal clients around $850 minimum spend, and that's where your nicer areas are starting at, and that's a lot of those properties. So I currently live in Belmont. A lot of the properties here for that sort of price point, you're still having to do a little bit of work to it, just a small cosmetic reno. But your 10 k's out of the CBD of Geelong is those surrounding suburbs. That's where you're landing your price points. But if you had to said to me, Corio median house price was going to be $550 to nearly $600 at this stage, I would have said no way. But yeah, that's where it's pushing.
So talk to me as well around, the locals. Let's say you said 50-50 of your owner rocks who are local versus non-local. Is the buyer's agent industry starting to get a reputation within Geelong that if you are a local looking, let's say, to downsize or upsize or just relocate, whatever the circumstance is, like, are they becoming more open to speaking to a buyer's agent?
Yeah, we're finding that is the case. It's still an education. It's still a slow process. People are ringing up saying, "So you sell a house?" No, we don't sell the house. We actually work for you, believe it or not. Sole focus is on you and your journey to get this house for you. So we're still finding that education piece is quite often the case, but there's more open to it, that's for sure. We're hearing, and a lot more people are starting to refer to us too. As I said, I've got a fantastic team. I think step one for anyone starting their journey is you must build a team around you that you can trust. It's more a team sport buying a property than ever before, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a good point. You're right. Like, you want to have, you want to be surrounded by the right people, like not only supporting you, but clearly like supporting the client. And
yep,
you're 100% right. And I mean, when you say team, you're also referring to like conveyancer, building.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
That type of
mortgage brokers, financial industry. That's once you've got your unit locked together. And I'm big on referring to, so my conveyancer, I'm a huge believer she's nearly the best in the entire land. And I did have a call with Kiani yesterday. Kiani? Yes. Yeah, Kiani yesterday. We're going to catch up. She's down in Melbourne soon. We're going to grab a coffee. She's incredible as well, but I'm a big believer that you need a very good conveyancer, financial industry covered, build and pest inspectors that can cover different areas. So I've got 3 or 4 in my network now. When you can get that team together, you're ready to go.
You're ready to roll, aren't you?
Yeah, and roll quick. Put the work in.
We're in March now. Is Geelong market? How would you classify the resi market in Geelong?
Growing. Yeah, I think the interest rates is going to have a huge impact. So the economic factors down here are going to have a huge impact. As I said, we're seeing more people come out now. We've only had 2 interest rate pauses. So more buyers are coming to the market down here. It's a beautiful place to live. Why wouldn't you want to live in Geelong? That's my opinion.
Yeah, I've got to go check it out. And what about like off-market, pre-market deals? Like looking back at your deal flow, are they on market, off, pre? Like what type of mix-up?
Most of them have been on market only because that suited the client best. But I get pre-market, off-market sent to me at the moment at least 2 a day.
Yeah, nice.
Just unfortunately, I haven't got clients for those properties. That's the only difference.
Yeah, and listen, buying on the market. I mean, I used to tell a lot of buyers that when they come for off market, like typically they can't buy what's on. And
Yep.
even if they can buy potentially what's on, it doesn't mean what's on or what's off, sorry, is always going to be right. It's like you just got to
Correct.
assess everything. And if it happens to be on the market, I actually think sometimes when it's on, it's actually harder to buy because you've got competition
Yeah.
a lot of the time. And so when it's on, it's actually more complex.
Yeah, 100% right. That's why we push, and I'm very open, and I actually learned this from your material, to be completely honest, Ben. I'm very open in saying one of your strongest points is to get eyes on these properties before the rest of your competition
Yes.
does. But it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be the one we purchase. Hopefully we do, but not always the case. But then when you are buying on market, that's when our negotiation skills kick in, and that's where our client using us, our clients have an advantage over their competition. So we know what the value of the property is. We've put it through our valuation systems. Those who aren't using buyers advocates are just guessing that the real estate agent's priced in the right range and just assume that that's the value of the property. So there's a million different added advantages that we have to on market purchases that people don't quite realise yet either.
Yeah, I love it. Michael, I've enjoyed the chat. It's just so good to see you smashing Geelong as well with John and you guys collaborating and just the success that you've had. Obviously, you've had a background in real estate, so it's not completely fresh to you, but it's promising. I think you work in quite a concentrated area, and it's just great to see the results that you've got. And it just seems like when the market starts to change as well, like on a macro level, um, you're going to be firing on I think a lot more cylinders.
Fingers crossed, bud. I've never had more coffee in all my life than the last 3 months trying to build and strengthen those relationships. So I'm drinking more tea now than ever before. But I honestly really appreciate you taking the time to have a chat, Ben. When you do come down, reach out. Let's grab a coffee.
Let's do it. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.